Good afternoon, everybody. We're here for race 3. Sorry for the delayed start to the stream. We had some technical issues early on. My name is Dan. I will be your streamer for today, for the next 2 races here at Monza and then at Suzuka. Alongside me, I think he's just rejoined the party.
Yes, hello, good evening, or good afternoon. There we go, good afternoon. We've got an afternoon, everyone. Yes, hello, thank you very much. Sorry for being a little bit chaotic. It's all gone wrong right at the last minute for me, which is not ideal. However, as you say, we will be here for the Italian Grand Prix, part of the 24 hours of F1, and yeah, delighted to be alongside you, Dan.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun. We've just missed out on the one-shot qualifying, unfortunately, but I think it's Xander is on pole. It is. VSR Xander on pole within the Alpine, time of 19.880. QBR Campbell in second place and Shazu Cortez in third.
The Harry BR25 repping my team is in fourth position and doing very nicely indeed. Harry, one of his strongest tracks, so looking forward to seeing what he can do today.
My team represented there by Ecos Cameron, who unfortunately retired on that one-shot qualifying lap. Is going to be starting 18th. Not ideal for the Ecos guys, but he's not alone down there, so it's not the end of the world. Right, so while we wait for the drivers to decide their initial tyre allocations and their fuel loads, have a little bit of chat about this circuit in general. Monza, also known as the Cathedral of Speed, one of the oldest circuits on the calendar. It's been the host of the Italian Grand Prix for, I think, all but maybe 4 or 5 races.
Yes, you are correct. Every year apart from 1980, where the Italian Grand Prix went to Imola.
Yeah. So I've had the pleasure of visiting Monza as well in 2018.
Yes, me too. Actually, is that the year Charles Leclerc won?
No, I went the year before.
Or was that? It was the year after. I was there. No, 2019, which was fantastic.
No, I went the year before when Kimi got pole, and the whole place erupted. Fantastic.
Yes, it's like nothing else that I've felt at a race circuit before. Was the Tifosi, especially down the main straight.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
It's brilliant. It's the party that you get when there's a Ferrari driver towards the front. It's fantastic. So tyre allocations then. Top turn, of course, starting on the soft tyre, as that's what they qualified on. Outside the top 10, they've got free choice of tyre. They can do what they want. We've got 4 drivers on the softs as well. That's Rado in P12, and then Racer, Benjamin and Neon. That's 15, 16 and 17. And medium tyres for Lewis in P11, Racer and Thomas, 13th and 14th. And then the 3 at the back, Cameron, Tom Robbo and Sam Corby on the mediums.
Of course, Sam Corby starting at the back, already a race winner today, race 1. He'll be in his team, the Absolute Units. They have their allocated 1 race starting from P20, so look out for Sam charging through the field. Of course, 2-stop mandatory here today at Monza, and shall change up, I imagine, the makeup of the entire race with the likes of Sam Corby coming through, a couple of drivers. But however, I'm sure you'll agree, Dan, this is a circuit that you can very much overtake at.
Very much so, yeah. Normally an easy 1-stop as well, soft to medium, so I think we'll have some interesting strategies being pulled out for people trying to get some track position and make up some moves early on, potentially with an undercut as well. So heading round towards the grid then, through the Ascari chicane, down towards the Parabolica. 27 laps, it should be one of the fastest races we get tonight, so fingers crossed. We'll be able to pull back some of the time we lost with the technical issue at the start. Get ourselves back on schedule.
As you see, the drivers lining up now, coming and rolling into their allotted grid slots. And, well, I'm sure everyone to the left-hand side will be looking at the Ferrari teams. Unfortunately, you've got Sam Corby, P20, Ecos Cameron, P18. What can they do from there? And we're getting ready to kick off what should be fantastic race 3 of the 24 hours of F1. Make sure you get donating throughout the entirety of this one. We've got VSR Zander on pole position, QVR Campbell in second, Shazoo Cortez in third, and Harry BR of the Haspins in P4. Watch out for the likes of T1000 Zach in sixth position. Very quick driver on his day. What can he do as we get ready to look to the lights and send it down to turn 1 as we get ready to send it. Engines revving, engines flying, and there we go. It's a good start there from your pole sitter. What can we just see from P2? Because the Alpine is going to come up and trying to cover the Haas, but the Haas is going side by side. Surely has the inside line down in towards turn 1. But here we go. It is the Haas that takes the lead into turn 1 through the Retifidio chicane. It's Campbell ahead of Zander. Cortez moves up in third. Harry stays in fourth position with Vapor now in fifth position ahead of Zach.
So we've had a great start from Tom Robert down towards the back of the pack, up 5 places from the start. Sam Corby as well, as he said, up 4. Big losers though, Rado and Benjamin down 7 and 4 places respectively to the back of the pack.
Just looking down through the order as well, you've got Casper, the 2 McLarens with Ariel Forza Brendan fighting out over position as they go into the Lesmo for the first time, and it is Casper that gets up into 7th position, but streaking away now is Campbell as he tries to break away a little bit from Zander, but Zander staying within that 0.4 of a second window, so this can all go down to the main straight for the first time. Of course, we've got 27 laps here of the Monza Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix, at Monza I should say, and well, it's very wide indeed for Zander as he gets out onto the runoff areas. The Alpine comes up the back straight towards the Parabolica, and well, what can he do from P2? QVR Campbell with that good start managed to get down the inside into the Refugio. He'll lead us away for lap 1 as we go on to lap 2 of this race 3 of the 24 hours of F1, and QVR Campbell with the 24.0, the fastest lap off of a standing start ahead of Zander, Cortez, Harry and Vapor.
Biggest movers then on that first lap. Tom Robbo, as we saw, up 7 places. Sam Corby with 5. Big loser still. Rado down there with 6 places lost now as he's got himself past Cameron into the Rettifilio.
When we look at the IFR guys, and you were talking about we could start for Tom Robbo, the IFR running their double points race in this one, so they're looking at making some moves, starting on the different strategy. Obviously starting off with the soft tyres, they've gone for the mediums, so they're going to go slightly longer in this first stint. Of course, mandatory 2 stops, so expect to see these guys going pretty aggressive in the first part of this race, trying to take as much life out of those tyres. And do we see someone perhaps box a little bit earlier, looking for a bit of an undercut, a little bit of space, because of course you can see here everyone will get caught in that DRS train that we all know and aware of, and are currently Campbell leading it away from Zander, Cortez, Harry, Vapor, T1000 Zach, Brendan, Casper, Gary, and then you've got NLR, your top 10 all on the soft tyres.
Pretty much the top 10 stayed as it was from the start. I think obviously the leaders changed with Campbell getting Zander at turn 1, but the rest of them have sort of just held station. And of course, with them being on those soft tyres, that's all they can really look to do. It's the medium runners who've got to make the moves early on and try and make that ground up, which of course we've seen with Tom Robbo so far is going very, very well indeed. Every time I've seen him race here, he's performed very well, but he has been prone to the odd mistake. So IFR putting their faith in him for the double points and going for that very early on as well, which is a bold strategy. Fingers crossed it works out for them. As we have a spin now, I think, for Thomas down towards the back of the pack now into P20.
Yeah, that's a shame for the Elite Racing Team driver there, of course, racing in Jacko car, one of his leagues, Thomas, and he'll be hoping to recover a little bit of positions. He's only lost around about 5 seconds, so can recover that if the guys in front do get caught up in a battle. Up ahead of him, you've got the likes of Speedway Racer running for the Speed Esports team, Yuri in 18th position there, another Jacko car racer, and, well, where's Sam Corby in all of this? He's moved his way up to 14th position, so the Ferrari is on the charge. He's got to get his way past 3 other medium runners before he starts to attack these guys on the softs. Of course, Sam Corby, former PSGL F1 champion, Invictus F1 champion. He was 5th in this season's PSGL F1 championship, so he is no stranger to the top end of the upper echelons of drivers on the game. So what can Sam do? Already a race winner so far today, looking at picking up some more decent points for the absolute units. His team, of course, 10 teams across this grid, and so 20 teams across this grid, and well, all of them looking at picking up some decent points in this one as Vapor goes quickest of all. He's in 5th position, chasing down Harry.
Got a battle for P9 on at the moment between XL Gary and Oh, see, I've done this now. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Bless. P10, the NLR driver. He's lost out through the first chicane though, and Gary now closing in on the back of Casper for P8.
Yeah, battles are really starting to form here. You can see no one's really made a break in this. The entire field, apart from into box, comes Thomas. So Thomas deciding to box early. So that's the Red Bull at the back of the field. But only really Yuri at 1.5 seconds off the back of Rado in 17th position is outside of that DRS window. Lewis is in 11th. He's just dropped outside. But of course, on the medium runners, he's the fastest of the medium runners so far. As Sam Corby gets past WRR on this last lap, so the Ferrari now up into P13, so he's starting to make moves in this one up at the front. However, though, Zander is getting ever closer to Campbell as this leaders race may change come lap 5.
So it might, as we're going through the Parabolica now, the leaders 3.5 tenths closing all the time the gap, and I think we could see a change of leader here. Powering down the main straight towards the first chicane, Zander to the inside, and he's done before the braking zone. Nice move from the Alpine. Takes the lead back.
Just like I said, the Shizou Academy driver Cortez there had a thought about it. He thought he could possibly just take a look down the inside of Campbell, as Campbell obviously had to brake a little bit earlier with that Alpine getting in front of him. But Zander not even using any batteries. We've got a tangle between, I believe, that's Benjamin and Yuri at the Retifidio chicane. So they've dropped off the back of the pack there, the Mercedes and the Red Bull in 17th and 18th position. In fact, Sam Corby has gone into the
early
box,
pit stop.
into the very early pit stop, trying to get himself out of that window, trying to get himself out of that battle right in the middle of the field. Obviously thought that he was being held up, and smart tactic there from Sam.
Could be, yeah, give himself a lot of free air to push into on those soft tyres. Of course, they can make it with a 2-stop on softs from here. So one more set of softs for him, we'll probably see him to the end. Tom Robbo in all of that managed to get himself ahead of Lewis into P11. He's now the lead medium runner, and he's setting off after the top 10 at soft guys. 2.3, 2.2 seconds the gap at the moment, so we'll see how that closes over the coming laps.
Down the main straight, go on to lap 6, and into the box comes Cortez. So the first of the lead runners into the box. We'll see what tyres he goes on to. Was on a set of softs. Does he go on to the set of medium compounded tyres, or is it another set of the red stickers? It is a set of the medium tyres. So he goes middle compound, and well, he'll be running through the majority of this middle stint, and then coming in and hoping that that tyre will be working in his favour when he sets the softs later on in the race. And of course, the car will be much lighter with the fuel, and he should be able to push particularly hard. He comes out in P15 and around about 6-7 seconds off the back of RL Benjamin in 14th position.
Interestingly enough, Tom Robbo, Lewis and Neon as well all boxing there. Tom Robbo and Lewis from the medium tyres boxing very, very early as well, same as Sam Corby. So soft tyres seem to be the ones people want to be on at the moment, not favouring the medium tyre early in the race.
See, Kvyat Campbell still not giving up on this P1 position, still fighting at the front between himself and Zander. So we've got VSR versus QVR as the clean vinegar versus the VSR driver up the back straight towards the Parabolica. Of course, 11 corners in this iconic circuit. Everyone knows Monza, twinned of course with Indianapolis, of course, where you see the famous Indy 500 at the Temple of Speed. And very much the home of the Italian Grand Prix is into the box. Here we go, a stream of cars all come in, hoping to get it slowed down. No one picking up any penalties. Good to see everyone getting on the breakers early. So into the box comes Zander Campbell, and here goes Zach. There you go, a collision with Harry. Surely, was that into the box, or was it must have been into the pit lane, because they're all in the pit lane. So a real shame there for Zach. He'll be taking a front wing change as well for that incident.
Don't think we've had anybody held in the box either. So, all good. Sam Corby, though, charging through with the fastest lap, 121.5. As we see then, Cortez has got ahead of Campbell there, coming out of the pits with the run down to turn 1. Great opportunistic driving there from the Shizou Academy man to take second place, but Campbell's going to be fighting back. The Della Roggia on the inside, but thinks better of it.
Yeah, looking from her fingers at that one as the Haas tried to look down the inside of the AlphaTauri, and equally they were catching up to Zander, so almost went 3 wide into the De Rogia chicane. Into Lesmo 2, you can see Campbell not giving up as Tom Robert picks up 3 seconds. That's not going to help IFR's chances of getting those double points and getting some decent results here. We've currently got Brendan leading from Casper. It's a McLaren 1-2, and you can see everyone has stopped down from P8 onwards. So you can see 1, 2, 3, Xander Cordes Campbell, and you can see already P13 having made that stop is that Sam Corby's got himself up into, what is that, a net P6 with a decent run already in this race.
Yeah, and of course he's now on the faster tyres compared to the guys ahead of him with a 2-second delta to make up. So, as you say, we've seen already his speed with the race victory in race 1. And it looks like he's going to be putting that to good use again. Be interested to see, though, the likes of Rissa and Cameron, P3 and P4, going longer on those medium tyres, what their pace will be like at the end, considering they're almost certainly now going to be stopping twice for softs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's got to be the toys and char toys. We've got a yellow. Is that for a Ferrari? It looks as though we might have just had a Ferrari reset track. Is that for Cameron? I believe that might be.
It is Cameron. Commentator's curse for my own team. Cameron there with an incident of some description, ends up dropping a place to Yuri, now down to P5. They lost him around about 7-8 seconds.
He's going to go down the inside of Yuri, coming into Ascari, and does get the position back. So even with the tyres that, they will be coming back into their window, these mediums, compared to Yuri, of course, on the softs. And so he can now streak down the back straight, but he will tow Yuri with him in towards the Parabolica. And, what can the Belgian do from what is currently 5th position on the circuit? I'm sure he'll be cycling back down through the grid as Cameron picks up 3 seconds. So it's been a bit of a lap to forget for your man Cameron.
It has,
a spin and a penalty.
He has. Yuri into the pits then to get rid of those soft tyres. Casper as well. Only man to stay on the tyres that he started on is our current race leader, who we can see on screen now. The number 74 Aston Martin car, who's out front on his own at the moment. Rissa 5.5 seconds away behind.
Yeah, clearly the NLR guys deciding to go aggressive early on, staying out and perhaps looking at extending this first stint and having a shorter third stint. You've got to think that he'll go on to a set of mediums on his first stop, but we're on lap 9 of 27 here. It is the Italian Grand Prix, part of the 24 hours of Formula 1. This is race 3, and we thank you very much to everyone that's joining us over on twitch.tv. We're here, of course, raising money for charity, and we're supporting the absolutely superb Young Minds UK and Special Effect. If you'd like to find out more about them, go to their Twitter pages at Special Minds, Special Effect, and at Young Minds UK, or of course go to their websites youngminds.org.uk and specialeffect.org.uk. And the donation links you can find over on the Twitter for the 24, which is at 24 of F1. Make sure you beat that record from last year, 2,775 raised for an amazing.
Guys, we've got a spinner at the Parabolica. It's your man. It's Harry.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to jinx it because I know exactly what will be going on in that party, and it looks like it's an early box and a speed in the pit lane. Harry, what are you doing? He's clearly lost his head, and he's now into the box. Is that a wing change with the stop? It is, and no, it looks as though it's just a change of tyres. Very early on, though, not ideal for Harry BR25. He's not the preparation he was wanting. He was working until about 20 minutes before the race, so he's got back in, got straight behind the wheel, and unfortunately he's now cycled to P20 on circuit. Yeah,
Tom Robbo there, we just saw the end of his move, getting past Forza Brendan for P8 on track. As we mentioned already, IFR running their double points race here at Monza, so wherever he finishes, his points will count as double for their total. Sam Corby then, P7, and our race leader pit, so that will take him up to the net P6, which is where you said, Gareth, where you thought he might be. He's right in that mix now in what is essentially the battle for the lead.
Yeah, but picks up a 5-second penalty for his trouble whilst entering the pit lane, so that won't help on his second stop, and that's going to release Campbell, Zander and Cortez down towards the Retifidio for the 11th time. Zander trying to break the toe of Cortez, and there's just Shizou Academy driver. Can he go late on the brakes? He's thinking better of it, as the top three all stay nose to tail of each other, as we've seen. Casper, look at Casper in that second McLaren in the McLaren behind, 4th position so far for the Dutch team, and doing very nicely indeed. And if the English translation to their team name is the bad guys, so we'll see what they do as they come up towards the back of the front three. And Casper, who's heading off the likes of Vapor and Sam Corby, and Sam sitting in a pretty nice position there. Of course, 5 laps already on those soft tyres. He went very, very early in this stint compared to Casper, who's only done 1 lap on the soft so far. So Sam with a bit of work to do on tyres that maybe won't be too friendly come the end of this stint. But here comes Casper looking to the outside of Cortez. Of course, he's got the tyre advantage into Ascari. Can he get moved around the outside? Will Cortez block? No, lovely move there from Casper as the lime green helmet sweeps around the AlphaTauri up into P3.
Yeah, I was just wondering why Cortez decided to defend the inside there. He had the DRS advantage from the cars ahead. If he'd stayed wide, he'd have had the toe as well, but instead he gave that up to Casper. Essentially sacrificing a position there, which I'm a little bit confused of, but just wondering if you say the translations for the Dutch team's name is the bad guys.
I believe so. I was having a look earlier, and it was Le Bar Carrel, I think, and it translates. I had to look at the quick translation. This is the bad guys. So I'm sure they'll correct me, and sure someone will be in the chat and saying, no, you're wrong. Can
you imagine if we did like a boxing style walkout? Do you reckon they'd have Billie Eilish as their walkout song?
I think that has to be implemented into the 2022 variant of this, does it not?
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll see what the bad guys can do with their Billie Eilish support, and we'll see if she gets some support from her over Twitter, put through, and see if she'll promote the 24th. But well, what have we got throughout the field? You can see everyone all the way down to P10 is within DRS. The DRS train is very much chugging down the tracks here at Monza, and it's only down to Risa in 10th position, who's now got Lewis and Excel Gary behind. Then you've got a bit of a gap between themselves and T1000 Zach, who's sitting on a penalty and has a little bit of a gap between himself and Rado in 14th position. Neon in 15th, with Cameron down in 16th, Thomas 17th, Yuri, Harry and Benjamin are your final 10 in this one. But it is still Zander from Campbell, from Casper, from Cortez, Vapor and Sam Corby, bringing now Tom Robbo. And we were talking about Tom maybe not having the best of starts to this one with that early penalty, but he's now got himself well involved in this lead battle.
He has, yeah. Of course, those 3 seconds will be hanging over him all the way until the end, so we'll have to wait and see. But IFR looking like they made the right choice with their double points, at least at this early stage, because we are now approaching roughly the halfway point. 13 lap, well, onto the 13th lap. That's 12 completed of the 27. See
look
Campbell
at this.
and Casper.
It's insane as you look around Curva Grande, and they're all streaking around. We've got an entire lead battle all the way down to 7th position, all nose to tail. We've got side by side between the Mercedes, and off into the barrier goes Vapor. They tried to go side by side through the De La Roja. It did not work, and Vapor is the one that loses out in that one. Possibly will think that the door was closing on him, but it was a brave move to go down the inside. It looks as though he wasn't quite alongside enough to make that move, but unfortunately for him, that's going to cycle him down to 12th position now. So that lead battle is lost a position. We've now only got 9 of them instead of 10 of them.
Just a few of them, not many. Casper and Campbell went side by side into the De La Roja as well, and that has allowed Zander to clear Campbell. He's out of the DRS zone for the time being. Campbell's going to have a distant toe and might just get DRS to try and fend off the McLaren of Casper. We'll ride on board and see. Indeed he does. So Campbell will have a stay of execution, and Zander not quite making an effective use of that battle behind him, just street clear.
Here comes Sam Corby around the outside into the Retifidio of Cortez, and the man formerly known as CRG Gamer 62 and Gamer the Best 262 is now up in P4, making a lovely move around the outside of the AlphaTauri and up into a potential chance of striking for a podium as they're banging wheels there between Cortez and Robbo. And Robbo trying to go down the inside, they're skipping across the chicane there, and Cortez possibly will be feeling a little bit aggrieved about that one as everyone's starting to get their elbows out. It's starting to get tasty. As you say, we're over halfway through this one, and the door is well open for any one of these drivers to finish anywhere in these positions. Yellow in sector 2, and that's XL Gary retiring at what's that, the second Lesmo. He's gone wide into the wall, and unfortunately the former League of Europe D2 champion out of the race.
I'd imagine there he's just hit the curb on the exit. We've got a bit of a tank slapper as he's gone to correct it, sort of speared himself off into the left-hand barrier. We've seen a change of second place as well, with Casper getting himself ahead of Campbell through the Curva Grande and into the Rettifilio. De La Rocha, I should say. And Casper now looking like he's going to try and make a move for first place on Xander as well. The overspeed with the DRS active, he's going to go for it. Down the inside into turn 1. He's late on the brakes, squeezes the Alpine, and the McLaren takes the lead of the race.
Lovely move there from the McLaren up into the lead of this one, and demote Xander into P2. Can Campbell make up for the fact, of course, Xander would have been off the throttle, maybe not where he wanted to be, but no, it is the Alpine that's looking at coming back at the McLaren, not quite able to get the move done. Sam Corby, his eyes will be lighting up at this battle going on in front of him, because he's starting to shape up the Haas in front of him, and well, we'll see if he's investing Euro Cali at the end of this one, because he's been staring at that rear wing for the last few laps or so. He wants to get past, and surely the Ferrari, here we go, gets a really good launch out of Lesbo too, but with DRS, Campbell is just going to pull away, and it looks as though he might actually just be utilising a little bit of battery down the back straight in towards Ascari, because he pulled away from Sam Corby. Sam trying to look after that DRS. He's sitting there on around about 30% as Brendan picks up 3 seconds. He's down in 8th position on the medium tyres. He's sitting behind Risa and just in front of Lewis. But, well, this battle is still going on, and you have no idea, any of these drivers out of the top 5 currently sitting there without a penalty, what position they'll be in the next 12 laps. As into the box, here we go, it's Campbell and Corby, and then being followed in by Brendan. Yep,
we've had a couple of guys pit in the lap before as well. That was Tom Robbo, Vapor, and Thomas as well, and Rado down in P19, all stopping on lap 14. Which bodes well for Sam Corby's tyre strategy if he's able to stretch those a little bit further, and he's now going to a fresh set of softs to the end of the race, you would assume. It's going to be a tough 12 laps on those, but I think he's shown already he's more than capable of pulling that off. Currently comes out into 10th place, which will end up being, at the moment, a net P3.
Yeah, it's been a absolutely astonishing race so far for Sam. We know that he's quick here at Italy. I've watched him in multiple seasons, commentated him over at Invictus Racing League, and well, he has always been mighty fast here at Monza, and well, he's got to get past the Haas and he's got to get past IFR's Tom Robbo, because Tom always, Sam gets on the inside curve there. You don't want to do that because it will unsettle the balance of the car, but this one you can cut a little bit more as Sam runs out and runs very nicely, but once again, saving that battery and sitting in the slipstream behind Campbell. And Campbell, who's going to start to put the pressure on Tom Robbo. Tom was sitting on that 3-sinker penalty. Well, what the penalty's looking at, currently we've got 5 seconds for NLR in 4th position, as Cortez picks up a 5-second speeding pit lane. And that is possibly going to call time on his chances for this race win.
Possibly so, yeah. I was just riding on board with some of the, with the leading group at the moment, the top 4, as it now is, with Cortez heading into the pit lane, just to see whether or not those guys were going to come in and make their stops, but they're stretching the tyres out a little bit further. Of course, Rissa and Casper pitted later from their first stint, and then you've got Xander and the NLR driver in P3 in the Aston Martin, who are on fresh-ish medium tyres compared to some of the other runners who have made their second stops. So could be quite interesting towards the end of the race with these 4, depending on when they decide to come in. Of course, Cameron in P5 as well is part of that group, but he's very close to Tom Robbo, who is the leading driver of the second pit stop makers.
Yeah, and I'm just looking on board actually with Campbell down that main straight. He could have gone past Tom Robbo. He had the overspeed, he had the chance, but just didn't commit to an overtake, sat behind him. Is he just letting the Mercedes drag him up and sitting in that slipstream? He knows that effectively the attack is going to come from behind, and he can just sit in this 3 and pull themselves up back towards that fight at the front. Of course, these guys have all pitted early, as out of the race goes Cameron. So Cameron in the Ecos team, unfortunately, ends his race on lap 17 of 27.
Yeah, lost it on the exit of the Ascari chicane. And that's first DNF of the event for Ecos. Shame, I can't hide disappointment, if I'm honest.
That's fine. My driver's down in 11th position with 8 seconds of penalty. So, yeah. Oh, here we go. We're going to go almost 3 wide into the Retifidia. Sam Corby's thinking about it. He's almost bump drafting the Haas down into the first corner, and he's going to try and go side by side. Can he go around the outside? But no, it's Campbell that gets up into the leaders one. Sam Corby's in the dirt and in the gravel, but he's managing to keep on the power. Tom Robbo wasn't having any of it as Rado picks up 3 seconds. He's currently down in 17th position, but Sam, well, he tried to go around the outside and make it 2 past Tom Robbo, but Tom not having any of it whatsoever, puts the Ferrari into the dirty stuff, and now Sam has got Cortez all over him.
Yeah, Liverpudlian getting his elbows out, but he's had a scrappy lap so far. Took a lot of curb on the inside second chicane, and then runs deep through the first Lesmo as well. That's putting him outside of DRS range of Campbell. Sam Corby going back on the charge to have an attack of the Mercedes. He's going to line him up probably for turn 1 with a run down towards the Parabolica now. But Cortez is there behind as well. Because with that penalty, it's going to be more difficult for him, but he could make a nuisance of himself. At the moment, you've got to say it's looking good for Campbell and Sam Corby, because they're penalty free. Casper into the pits now, so they should come out ahead of him, or very close to. Here goes Sam Corby making the move on Tom Robbo, but as Casper comes out of the pits, has to go and navigate almost a pseudo chicane of cars.
That was a squeaky bum moment for Sam Corby. He went to make the overtakers, and a McLaren appeared from his right hand side. But he gets the move done, and now up into P3, and which is a net P2 on circuit. Yeah,
clenching in that Ferrari. It sets the fastest sector 1 though for his trouble, so I'm sure he'll be pleased with that. Back. Let's have a look a bit further down the order. Neon then closing in on the back of Thomas for what will be 14th on the circuit. Williams going up against Red Bull. Could we see a move into the De La Roja? He's having a look. Not quite close enough.
Just keeping up with as that battle goes on, as Neon gets a really good run, but back up at the front. VSR Zander has dropped down to 8th position now, right at the back of this train, and well, look at that. He's got to overtake and navigate his way past 2 McLarens, and AlphaTauri, and Mercedes even to get back up into that top 3 battle that he was in earlier on in the race. And well, the Alpine, we know that he's very quick, of course, lined up on pole position. But now he's got to work out how he's going to get some overtakes done, because in front of him you can see Cortez is shaping up, but he's got no battery deployment left. You can see the red light blinking on the back of that AlphaTauri. That means he's under 10% come the end of the straight. So that will, if you're Brendan and if you're Zander, your ears will be pricking up at that. Just having a look at see that the AlphaTauri is already having to harvest, because we're 7 laps before the end of this one, and we've got 7.5 laps left to go. As there we go, Cortez, quickest sector 1 so far. He's starting to push Casper, and of course Casper's just made a stop. He's sitting behind Tom Robbo. Tom sitting on that 3-second penalty. NLR at the front of this one with a 5-second penalty to serve in their pit stop. I'm pretty sure they haven't made yet, so they'll be falling way down the order, perhaps even to the clutches, the likes of Zach down in 13th position, and round the outside, there we go, goes Cortez as Benjamin picks up 3 seconds. Cortez getting his move past the McLaren, and perhaps a little bit of a cut there of the inside of the Ascari chicane, but he's now back up into P5 on circuit.
Very much so. We've there we go, NLR driver into the pits then from the lead of the race. Should be for soft tyres. Very short stint then at the end. And of course with a 5-second penalty to serve, it could, it's going to really hurt, isn't it? He's going to be lucky to, he's going to come out here in P12 between Harry and T1000. 5 seconds really hurting.
Yeah, that's a shame for the NR, who was running really nicely at the front, maintaining a good pace. But as you say, that 5-second penalty, no matter when you take it, whether it comes at the end of the race or whether it comes in your pit stop, it's a stinger. It is one that everyone always feels slightly aggrieved about. But of course, no safety cars in the event due to time constraints. So if there is a yellow flag or if there is a spin, unfortunately, it's just something you're going to have to deal with. And well, the likes of Xander there, who was trying to think about a move down the inside into Lesmo 1, and well, is he going to be able to get a run on Brendan? Because Brendan had a slight wiggle on exit of Lesmo 2, but DRS is open for the McLaren, so we'll be able to defend nicely. But look at that, there is no battery whatsoever for Xander. The VSR driver has expelled all the extra electrical battery he's got, and so he's going to have to sit in the slipstream and hope that the McLaren tows him up towards the Parabolica as they go LLR. Oh, and his lap out, he's picked up a 3-second time penalty as the Alpine desperately trying to find his way past, but not able to do so, as the Shizou driver Cortez now starting to look at Tom Robbo for P3.
Yeah, look at Rita as well behind Xander. He's going to be eyeing up these two for a double move potentially into turn 1, especially if there's any mistakes on the exit. Look at that, Rita going for it down the inside. Contact between him and the Alpine, and it's as you were, but bold strategy there from Rissa, and we've got a spin at Ascari. That's Yuri.
Yeah, Yuri's gone around, picked up a 3-second time penalty as well, and you can see those tyres will be hurting. He was doing a little bit of a burnout to get him restarted, and yeah, Risa, unfortunately, that was a little bit of a rallycross overtake there, wasn't it? He
was a touch,
sent
yeah.
it big time, and unfortunately, he was never going to get it slowed down. And I think he's quite grateful that the Alpine was there, because otherwise he would have been sending it across the entire chicane. But battle re-engaged, and up at the front of this one, Cuvel Campbell, 1.1 seconds. He's managed to break the DRS ahead of Sam Corby.
He has. I've been monitoring that since since he managed to get clear of that group. It's hovering around 1.1, 1.2. Sam can't quite close that gap up yet. But from what I saw earlier in the race, it looked like Campbell was running more wing. As when we were talking about him sitting behind cars, when it was Tom Robbo, I think, and then before that it was Xander. He was using the DRS and the tow to try and fend off drivers behind him. So I was wondering if he was running more wing, but at the moment you would say not, as we see Tom Robbo make a move on Sam Corby for second place.
And kicks the rear round for measure on the exit of the Rettifilio, so that's not going to help your tyre life at all, because of course Tom Robbo with an extra lap on his tyres, he's already done 7 laps, on lap 23 of 27 here for race 3 of the 24 hours of F1, and they're at the Italian Grand Prix, and will be followed later on by the very talented Jess Ball and Aidan Carter. They'll be bringing you the commentary after the end of the next race. Of course, you and I, Dan, will be covering the Japanese.
Yes.
We get 2 iconic circuits. I'm looking forward to that. We get a real treat.
Certainly do. And I'm just wondering now whether Sam Corby's not let that move happen, but I wonder whether he thinks I can't close that gap to Campbell. Maybe Tom Robbo can, and I can use him to bridge the gap and try and go for the lead, because Tom Robbo has, like you say, that extra lap on his tyres and a 3-second time penalty as well.
I think by the looks of it, everyone's starting to struggle with deployment issues. Tom Robbo harvesting up the back straight. Sam Corby sitting there on 24%. So everyone's starting to struggle as they're all trying to keep with each other, and it's now all about, well, if you're the likes of Tom Robbo, Sam Corby and Cortez, you need to be working together to catch up to Campbell. They've got within DRS, but of course it is Sam Corby that is the beneficiary there. He's the only one, apart from Campbell, without a penalty, all the way down to Casper. So at the moment, Casper is in a decent shout on those medium tyres of getting a podium out of this, which would be fantastic for the Barcarel teams. And in 6th position, then Xander potentially can get a decent run in this. The Alpines managed to get right up behind Casper, but unfortunately not able to get past. He's another one that's struggling with battery, and Risa is equally shadowing. He almost can probably work out what engine oil Alpine is using. He's that close to the gearbox.
Those guys you just mentioned there looking at potentially getting on the podium, they need to clear Brendan really. He's a bit of a cork in the bottle. 2.3 seconds the gap to this lead quartet, and of course with 3-second time penalties dished out, that's fair chunk of that that they're being held up for. So they're can clear him, try and bridge some of that gap, they're going to only improve their chances. Tom Robbo then, as we thought might be the case, has been that sort of intermediary bridge for Sam Corby to get to Campbell. And the Mercedes then is going to be the one that's going to try and take it to the Haas. And Sam, I would imagine, will try and pick up the pieces. Of course, all he has to do is stay with this group and then maybe take Campbell on track. And he could be looking at his second win of the event so far.
Yeah, it'd be a fantastic start for Sam Corby and the Absolute Units team behind that battle between Risa Zander and Casper was still going on. Risa just didn't quite commit in the same way that he did a few laps prior. Of course, reduced damage for these guys, so they are giving a little bit of a leeway in the fact that they can perhaps bump a little bit harder than they would do usually. But everyone has made 2 stops now, so we are running to the end. 25 of 27, plenty of time for overtakes to be made. However, it is QPR Campbell, your net race leader, ahead of IFR. Of course, IFR running a double point in this one. Of course, you get 1 double point race in the entirety of the 24, and IFR selected earlier on as Risa all over the back of Campbell, and surely there's going to be contact as there's in fact there's a penalty for your leader, so that has opened the door for Sam Corby. He doesn't have to do anything for the rest of this race. He knows that as they come on to the penultimate lap, that Tom Robbo, well, he could be as much of a hassle as possible, but Sam Corby is sitting in the box seat. He doesn't need to do anything in a moment apart from keep it in the white lines.
Of course, I think what happened to Campbell there, I wasn't watching, but I think he ran wide at Ascari, and it's allowed Tom Robbo to get right up behind him. We're going to go 3 wide. Sam Corby down the middle of the 2 cars. Gets a nudge from Campbell, but he's through into second place. Tom Robbo has to take to the inside there. And Cortez is picking up the pieces.
Yeah, picks up 5 seconds for his trouble. That may be rescinded if he got a little bit of a helping hand across the chicane there. So we'll see if that goes to the stewards. But it is now Tom Robbo leading from Sam Corby. Cortez and Campbell are your top 4. Campbell, who was leading this race at the end of the last lap. So he's dropped right down the order behind Cortez. And, well, we're now on the penultimate lap. This one's flown by, hasn't it, Dan?
It has, definitely so. As we were mentioning earlier, Forza Brendan was 2.3 seconds off this leading quartet, and with the battling that's gone on, that's now down to 1.5 seconds. So those drivers with penalties could be looking at a world of hurt. Just look at that. There's a stretch of 4 cars behind that are penalty-free. And Casper, Zander, Risa and Lewis, who could potentially all jump them. Lewis maybe not so much. Especially if Tom Robbo's penalty is not, if it is rescinded, I should say. But either way, that gap has come down a significant amount, and we're going to see a very, very interesting final lap.
Yeah, here comes Sam Corby. Does he try and get it on circuit? He's going to go to the inside, into the rectifier. Is Tom Robbo going to defend? He is. He tucks the inside line. He's going to get compromised. They're banging wheels on the exit of the corner, and they're going to go side by side. Do not come into contact. That will be a 3-way big crash. But he can go top 4, all making their way around the curve. And, well, one more lap here of the Italian Grand Prix, and anyone can win it from here. It's looking as though it's going to be Sam Corby penalty-free behind. It could be anyone of Tom Robbo, Cortez and Campbell, but Casper is coming into play for a podium here. He's sitting pretty without a penalty on the medium tyres. Zander can potentially do it as well if he stays within a couple of tenths of a second of Casper, so he needs to use his DRS as we go on to the back straight. DRS will be activated for Tom Robbo, for Cortez and for Campbell, but not for Sam Corby. But what can Sam do defending? It looks as though he's got enough. Tom Robbo's thinking about it, but he's not going to get close enough as they go into Ascari for the final time. And Sam Corby, he's just going to make his way around 2 more corners now. They've exited Ascari, up the back straight towards the Parabola for the first time. He's trying to break the toe. He weaves from left, weaves from right, and he's coming into the final corner. Sam Corby looking as though he's going to make it 2 wins out of 3 races here to start the 24 hours of F1. But who's going to pick up the podium? Well, it can be anyone, but it's going to be Sam Corby, your race winner. Cortez, no, it is Campbell from Cortez. No, we go. It changes all as they cross the line. It's Sam Corby from Casper from Risa. Zander, Campbell, Cortez, Brendan, Lewis, Robbo, all the way down to P9 for the IFR team, and Vapor in P10.
You've got to hope for Tom Robbo that he's going to get those 5 seconds rescinded, otherwise the double points is going to have been squandered. Would be the only word, I think, there. I would hope he gets that taken off, because it was a superb drive, and it will put him up, I would think, maybe onto the podium still. Maybe just ahead of Zander, but I'm not sure. Either
he
way,
would be or a thousandth or so behind Casper, I believe, or a couple of hundredths behind Casper,
so
perhaps.
yeah, he would jump himself back up to P3, which, considering he had a penalty leading on to that final lap, was a very good lap to try and get himself clear. But no one had anything to match the pace of that man up front.
So that is our first P20 to P1 of the 24. Remember, Sam Corby started last in this race, and the Ferrari driver wins at Monza, and how very apt indeed. And well, I'm sure everyone will be delighted about that. And hopefully, you guys enjoyed that race in the comments. Make sure you let us know. It's always great to see the comments just scrolling up and down. My name is Gareth Hall. I'm being joined by Dan Guy, and we are bringing you the commentary for this race and the next as we head over to Japan for the fourth race of the 24 hours of F1. And it's Sam Corby and his team that have picked up 2 wins out of 3 races already. And with the British driver, of course, formerly of CRG, here's your race winner of this one, picks it up with a penalty-free race in 37 minutes and 54 seconds. P20 to P1 ahead of Casper and Risa. Has got the Dutchman and the Danish driver in P2 and 3. Then Xander, Campbell, Cortez, Brendan, Lewis, Tom Robbo with that 5-second penalty, which may be rescinded. And if that is the case for Tom Robbo equally, that will potentially put him on the podium from P19, which IFR, well, I'm sure, will be delighted with after that qualifying.
Yeah, especially with the double points as well. It will be a fantastic recovery drive to get himself into 3rd place. Vapor then finishing 10th, but of course points for all 20 positions if you finish in the 24 event. So heading on down the order. Your DNFs though, unfortunately, are XL Gary and Ecos Cameron. Then Benjamin and Yuri finishing a lap down.
So, of course, we are here for one thing, and that is raising money for charity. And we hope all of you that are sitting here and enjoying the racing can help out and help us beat the total that we raised last year, 2,775, which spectacularly went to young people's mental health and their foundation. This year, it's 2 charities that you get to choose from. You've got, of course, Young Minds UK and Special Effect, and if you've not heard of either charity, I do suggest you go and go read up about them. They are absolutely magnificent charities. Special Effect, especially if you go and see what Special Effect, the technology they create for those not fortunate enough to be able to play games properly as you and I do, is absolutely mind-blowing what they can do. And show them the love, go out there, support them on social media and tag them and make sure you raise as much money as possible. And of course, big thank you to the organisers that have made this event go forward, the likes of J. Cole and his team behind the scenes, and equally for J. Cole and Dan Hoggard's commentary in race 1 and race 2, which was, I'm not sure if you were watching, Dan, but some brilliant racing.
There was, yeah, I caught a little bit of Portimao for Portugal in the second race, and it was definitely action-packed, as ours was there at Monza as well, and I'm hoping Suzuka will be the same next.
Absolutely so. So from one iconic circuit to the next as we go from the Italian Grand Prix to the Japanese Grand Prix. So yeah, stick with us. We've got plenty more to come here on the 24 of F1. My name is Gareth Hall. I'm being joined by Dan Guy. You can follow me over on Twitter at GT2_driver, and you can follow Dan. I believe it is at Dan Guy. I've got my list up here somewhere.
Yeah. At Daniel Guy, you can follow me.
There we go.
But yeah. I'm looking forward to Suzuka as well.
Yeah, it is another circuit that really does open up. In fact, it's slightly different, and what I do like about Suzuka is it's a lot more technical. It opens up. You still do find the battles going on right and down to the last lap or so, but maybe not so much overtaking. It's all going to be who can keep it on the island for this one. And well, after a bit of a disastrous race in that one for Harry and part of my team, Team Has-Beens, he starts from the back from the next race, so perhaps a race to redeem himself, but he finished in P12 in that one. But well, there's plenty more racing to come. I'm sure some of these teams that maybe have started off the race week or the race day so far, of course, we're running all the way through till 1 p.m. tomorrow. We're going through the night, and of course you can tune in all throughout the night with all the different commentators that will be covering this one. But plenty more time for people to recover some points, and there'll be some tired drivers, some tired eyes, and well, in fact, there's some teams that have got about 4 drivers. So they'll be, I'm sure, come the end of the event, we'll be looking forward to a well-deserved nap.
Yeah, very much so. I remember when we did the very first one of these, and I was fortunate enough to drive that year. A teammate of mine, we had Ala Takir, a former PlayStation legend who's now moved onto PC. But he used to, well, when he was in our team, he wanted to do every race. So he said, and I quote, "Sleep was for the weak."
Which always goes down well.
It does, doesn't it? Especially when people say, "Oh, no, I need a nap." Incredible guy. Managed to race once at Russia and win by over 30 seconds with a broken hand, if I remember right. He was an absolute machine. But definitely going to get some very, very tired drivers towards the end of this. We'll see some more incidents probably and some more penalties being picked up in the latter rounds.
But if that's the case, should we? Also, it looks as though we've got a bit of an issue of the lobby's not, or at least it's not letting us progress in this one. So we'll just keep chatting away whilst this is going on. Don't worry, guys. You often find that these sort of things happen when you're. Yeah, expect the unexpected, I think, is the rule when it comes to events like this. But
yes, we've had 2 now.
So I'd like those that are watching in the chat, and I can see all 139 of you, and actually we saw earlier on today, before the stream went down for a brief time, there was over 240, which is unbelievable. But give us your tips for how you're planning on staying awake through this one. We know there's drivers, we know there's engineers out there that are going to be helping, and what are your tips? How are you staying? Are you grabbing a couple of drinks? Is there some Red Bull, some Monster going around? Is there a takeaway coming in that's going to keep you all going? Are you staying? Is there someone that's staying in the party for an entire 24 hours? We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, drop into the comments. Let us know and give us some tips. Because, or Dan, are you in the car at any point today?
I'm not in the car, no, but I'm engineering after we finish at Japan all the way through till probably around Hungary time, which is roughly 3 a.m. I think.
Eesh.
And then I'm potentially jumping in commentary for Hungary if needed. And then if I can stomach it, I'll be staying all the way through and engineering again until I'm back in the box for China.
But, where I would imagine it would just be word vomit coming with.
Probably yes. I'm with the legend that is Mr. J. Cole for that one, so he'll be doing a lot of the talking, I would imagine.
Oh. Fantastic. Well, hopefully he'll get a little bit more sleep this time than he did last year, where I'm pretty sure J. Cole was awake for about 78 hours. But
yeah, he did the same for the first running of this, and he did the full 24 hours with that one. I have no idea how he managed it.
Well, coming up, we will hopefully be having a race at Suzuka at some point. You'll have to bear with us though, but. That should be coming up in a few minutes' time. There we go. As Ecos Cameron leaves the sessions, that might have just been able to kick us into the new session. So we will be coming up. Japan will be next. After that, we go over to the Australian Grand Prix and the Singapore Grand Prix. That will have the fantastic Aidan Carter, as you otherwise known as Car Mentalist, in the main comms, and alongside him is Jess, and well, of course, Jess Spall, otherwise known as Jess Gamer 95, who I'm sure you all hear Jess possibly the star of commentary over this lockdown period. She seems to have been commentating every hour of every day. So yeah, she's done a magnificent job. And well, who else have we got coming up? We've got, of course, the team of James Head, Luke Etheridge. You've heard that one. Plenty of places. Ariel Nolan and Killer Blue. There's plenty of commentators all throughout the day and the night, and some of these guys even working throughout the night. Some of the Americans, I imagine, will be picking up the red eye, the midnight shift, and well, make sure you stay tuned for it. Make sure you follow the channel, and you can stay notified every time that anything changes. And well, it's a one to tune in and just have on in the background whilst you're completing everything else that's going on around you. But loading into this one, and as we load into Japan, and well, who have we got to watch out for in this one, Dan?
Well, I'm just having a look at the drivers we've got in at the moment. we're still waiting for a couple, but I think Matthew Alder, I remember him at Portugal running a very, very good race there in the Alpine, coming from deep in the pack to take, I think, a top 5 finish, if I remember correctly. Of course, we've got your man, Harry, as well. He's going to be doing is he doing last to first here in P20 Challenge?
Harry is unfortunately doing last to first.
Yeah. And we've got, is it Tom Robbo staying in the car for IFR as well? We've just seen a very good performance from him. Trappi Formula taking over from Sam Corby. The Ecos guys, I'm going to have to invite him because Cameron had to leave, so apologies for anyone who's got a black screen at the moment, or a blue screen, or whatever colour it comes up with. Is going to be Ecos Saucy taking over, and he has some very, very good pace around here at Suzuka, so keep an eye out for him as well. Apart from the others, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Cortez, we've seen have a good race just now at Monza. Same with Casper, if those guys are staying in the seats. So we could have some very, very good battles up and down the pack.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because I mean, this is there's a plenty. I'm sure there's drivers here that you're unaware of. There's drivers here that I'm unaware of, and I've had obviously the chance to commentate over the likes of in this one we've got Harry Mashiro, Stinson will be in this one from IFR, I believe, unless he swapped out with Tom Robbo. It looks as though Tom may have stayed in for this one for the second, but. There's a lot of unknown in this one going forward. Is we've got plenty. We've got Humbalele, otherwise known as Chapelele, I believe, so as the German loading into the Alfa Romeo, and we've got plenty of chances for these guys that have raced all across the esports landscape in various leagues, whether that be the likes of TTML, EML, PSGL, League of Europe, Invictus. There's so many places these guys have come from, and it's great to see everyone come together and doing it all for a good cause, which is of course raising money for charity Special Effect and Young Minds UK, which you can find all the links for at 24 of F1 on Twitter for your chosen donation. And of course, every single pound, every single pence, every single cent, every single euro, or of course whatever currency you are donating in is going to a fantastic, fantastic charity, and helping out people less fortunate that us guys, we're privileged here to sit and chat over these guys that are helping out, and well, I think it's a fantastic, and it's something that I've always had my eye on. Whenever it comes around, I've not been able to commentate so far on this, and the last two that's gone past, I've definitely tuned in and watched it. But it's fantastic to be here, and we will be getting ready very shortly for the fourth race of the day.
Yeah, we certainly will. And I think just while we get these guys in, I think we'll take a moment ourselves just to catch our breath and prep ourselves for Suzuka. We're going to go to the interim screen, I think, just so that we don't have to look at a blue screen as we're inviting people and spoil the stream quality. So we'll see you all very, very shortly for round 4 at Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix. Take your chance now, grab yourself a beverage, some nibbles, come back, make yourself comfortable, and get ready for what should be another cracking race. Oh, good. Right.
I see. Oh, that was chaotic at the start. I couldn't. I wouldn't let me load into the lobby. I was like leaving, enjoying, leaving, enjoying.
Yeah. Right. Let's get people invited. Who else do we need still?
What have we got? 17.
One more. LRJ. Right, I'm gonna go and grab a drink quick and find my glasses because I was in such a rush for that first race. I could hardly see. Right. One drink gulped, one mince pie inhaled.
Oh, nicely done. Right, they're just loading in now.
Nice.
Hello everyone, welcome back, and you've got 13 seconds before we're about to start our one-shot quali here at the Japanese Grand Prix. We are, of course, at Suzuka, the land of the rising sun. My name is Gareth Hall, I'm being joined by Dagite, and we are bringing you the fourth round of this 24 hours of F1, and we're kicking it off in style here with Suzuka, and down towards turn one. Well, you never quite know, as there's Harry retiring. Of course, he'll be starting from the back. Everyone allotted one race to start from the back. Last time around, it was Sam Corby. He won from P20. What can Harry do from P20 this time around, as we've got plenty of drivers? ERT Khalifa for the Elite Racing Team, currently leading Blizzard, or as Matthew Alder, I should call him, in currently in P2. Just Asas for the REL, the Relentless Team, currently cycling at P3. So this will all change, of course. It can change with literal tenths of a second as they go around here at the Japanese circuit in Suzuka. And as up to the hairpin comes the like of Matthew Alder, Just Asas, Khalifa, and exiting out. It looks as though everyone's getting a relatively clean lap so far.
Yeah, so 3 retirements now. Stinson having to retire from the session there, 18th place. Of course, Matthew Alder still leading the way from Khalifa and Eustace. Formula in 4th, and then Correa 5th.
Of course, Eustace, the Lithuanian driver, coming up to one of the most iconic turns in world motorsport, and it's almost like nothing now into the Casio triangle. And, well, it's about to finish a lap. Is it Matthew Alder that takes pole position? It's going to be close between himself and the Relentless driver. Up to the line, it is Matthew Alder over 1:28.06.1. 3/10 of a second is pole position ahead of Justus. In second, Khalifa. A lovely lap there from the ERT driver. In third, Trappy in fourth, with TTG Mashiro in fifth. Vapor, Casper, Correa, XLRJ, and Dan Hoggard, Alvarez no Kadaka H230 in 10th.
Yeah, that we saw the top 14 drivers all very, very close together, as you'd expect in a one-shot session. P15th for Sossi and 16th and 17th had some issues on their laps and were significantly behind the rest of the pack. I think we'll see that reflected in the times when we get to have a look. As you said, Matthew Alder in first place on pole, 1:28.0 for him, 2.5 tenths, quarter of a second clear of Eustace in second place. Nearly half a second clear of Khalifa in third. That is impressive over a one-lap sprint. And yes, as you can see there, Sossi 9 seconds off the next driver ahead of him, and then Humble as well, even further back. Then Brandon, Stinson, Xander, DNFs. And of course, Harry, your man, in P20, starting last in this race. The chosen man to start from the back of the pack. Of course, every team has to start from the back of the grid in at least one race.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, hopefully it goes a little bit better than Italy. Harry, of course, the former Invictus F1 champion, former TTML F1 champion, and didn't quite get it right in Italy. He even came into the comments and said, "I hope he's not having a go at me in commentary." But I'll hold my tongue. We'll see how this race goes. He's lining up a lot of work to do, as we said before the break. Not quite Monza. Overtaking here comes at a premium. You really have to make your move very carefully. It's very easy to get it wrong. Of course, no safety cars. So if a yellow flag comes out, it will literally just be a case of avoiding the car that's gone off rather than waiting for a VSC or a safety car. And equally, mandatory 2 stops. The racing will be clear all throughout the night and all throughout the day, apart from the USA race, which will be taking place in heavy, wet conditions, which I'm sure the guys will be absolutely delighted for.
Yes, I think if I was racing this year, I'd want that race at Kota. Definitely, I'm the kind of guy who enjoys the damp conditions. Although that won't be damp, that'll be
awful.
That'll be hurricane conditions, won't it? It'll be horrendous.
As Matthew Alder leads us around for the formation lap, and well, he lines up in pole position, had a pretty decent gap in qualifying, 0.3 of a second to Justus in second, Khalifa in third, and you can see top 11 all gone for the soft rubber. Then Bowers in 12th and Rana in 13th have gone for mediums. It's softs for Speed Newgarden, the speed driver racing in Jakarta amongst other leagues, and Ecos Sossi in 14 and 15. They've gone soft. Mediums for Humbalele, Brandon and Stinson, with Xander on the softs, and Harry has gone for the medium compound as well. So he's hoping to go medium and possibly 2 sets of the soft stints. So we'll see what he can do. But Xander in front of him might be a good chance there, because Xander was running very nicely in Monza. Can he use that VSR drive to drag him up towards this midfield battle that's going to rage if it's anything like we saw at Monza?
Yeah, Xander, obviously, he'll be disappointed having to start down in 19th place, particularly so given that it was a retirement, because he was on pole at Monza in the last race. And now finding himself at the very opposite end of the pack. I'm going to be interested to see some of the guys on the medium tyres and when they choose to stop, because this is another race like last time out in Monza that normally is an easy one-stop, soft to medium. So we shouldn't be seeing anybody go for 2 sets of medium tyres unless there is some early damage potentially. But even then, I would imagine 2 sets of softs will be the way forward for anybody starting on the mediums, and indeed anyone else on the grid as well.
All the cars cycling around the final corner, and they got rid of that awful bump that was there for about 3 games previously, so you don't randomly lose control of the car in the final corner. But it will be Matthew Alder. Watch out for ESW, that's the Esports Wales team. Ivor Bryn Mike in 11th position. They're running their double points race. Every team gets 1 race to score double points in. Last time around it was IFR with Tom Robbo. This time around it's the ESW. He lines up just outside the top 10 as we get ready to go down towards the first corner. 1 of 18 here at Suzuka, with only 1 DRS zone as the revs start to build. We get ready as the lights are on. 3, 4, 5, lights on, pause, lights out, and it's a good start from Matthew Alder. Can he cut across? And he does. There we go. Sweeps across in front of Justus in first position, holding on to the lead of this one. The McLaren tries to follow him in behind. Is it a clean run through turn 1 for everyone? It looks as though we've got a car wide and we've got a yellow flag. Is that for? In fact, there's a couple of cars that have had an issue. That's the likes of Stinson, Xander, and I believe Humbalele have had an issue.
Yeah, there's at least 3 cars there, isn't there, that have come together. Your man Harry, of course, now up 3 places from where he started at the back of the pack, and on the tail of the lead group that's still made up of all 17 runners. Matthew Alder, though, half a second clear at the front already, trying desperately to pull away from Eustace in second place. We've not seen a lot of movement throughout the rest of the pack. Casper's got himself ahead of Vapor, and Bowers has got himself ahead of Eva Bryn Mike. Saucy up 2 places as well, now to 13th. Brandon Glover up 1, and we've got Eva Bryn Mike down. He's had an issue at the hairpin, down 6 places.
Yeah, that's disastrous for the Esports Wales team that, of course, running their double points, and that's going to cycle him to the back. So he's going to have to hope that everyone else in front of him really start to struggle, because otherwise, unfortunately for him, well, he's on soft tyres, so he may be able to reel in the medium runners with the early pace of these softs, but, well, that's not ideal for the Red Bull driver. Up at the front, well, it's business as usual from what we saw at Monza. It's, well, the gaps are going to be minimal, especially on this first lap, as Matthew Alder already streaking away 7/10 of a second. He's going to be pulling away. If he's pulling away 7/10 of a second on everyone else, he's going to have a huge lead come the end of this one. Justus is going to have to put a real shift in if he's to stay with him, because Khalifa is just within DRS, but of course DRS not able to be utilised for another lap or so. Trappy in 4th, with Casper a good start for him in 5th position.
Just looking at the big winners and big losers then off that opening lap, Eva Bryn Mike down 9 places is the biggest loser, and the only one who's lost more than 1 position actually. Biggest winner is your man Harry, up 5 places from where he started into 15th place, and then Saucy up 3 places to 12th.
Harry with some work to do from 15th in the Aston Martin, and sitting behind Speed Newgarden, who's someone I raced with in fact this last Tuesday in the Jakarta Championship 5, as Newgarden pushing hard, but can Harry go down the inside? He thinks about it and gets the move done. He dove to the inside, and in fact they're going to go side by side for a very tricky corner. Very easy to bottom out the car, and the Mercedes driver is not giving up, but Harry manages to come around the outside, utilises a little bit of battery, and now up into P14 on the medium rubber, which is good because he needs to stay with these guys that are on the mediums, the likes of Ralla in 13th and Bowers in 11th. Up ahead, it's still Matthew Alder, who's now starting to get pulled in a little bit by Justus, now down to 0.6 of a second, but they've broken away 1.4 ahead of the ERT, the Elite Racing Team Khalifa.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see. I don't know if you can tell me what ERS percentages the lead two drivers have at the moment. I'm wondering if Matthew Alder's starting to save the battery a little bit, maybe not burn as much in his pursuit of getting clear. Or whether Eustace is burning a lot of them.
Eustace I think is around about 20% already, and Matthew Alder maybe around about 30%. So in fact he's just recovered a little bit over about 40. So Matthew just maybe nursing it a little bit in this stint. Eustace deciding to go full guns blazing to stay with the Alpine ahead, so we'll see what they can do. They've broken away from Khalifa, but Khalifa's sitting there with around about 50% battery. He just has a little bit of a squeeze of push to pass there as they go up towards the hairpin at turn 11, and he's trying to get back within that 1 second window because of DRS will be activated at the end of this lap, and at the moment Khalifa's sitting 0.4 of a second out of it. However, he's not in too much trouble with Trappy sitting behind him and equal. In fact, there's exact equal distance between Khalifa and just Eustace.
I spotted that. We've had our first pit stop as well for Zander, making a very, very early stop at the end of lap 2 to put on a set of soft tyres. That puts him well at the back of the order, unfortunately, but two-stop race, so he'll be able to make his way back through.
Exactly, two-stop mandatory in the 24, so everyone will be having to do the same thing. No jokers in this one, everyone just having to come into the box, so expect to see a set of mediums and two sets of softs throughout the entirety of this one, apart from if we see anyone have any early issues, perhaps Zander's going to have to take those tyres a long way as Casper thinks about the inside of Trappy. Trappy very much says absolutely not, closes the door, and positions are held between the pair of them. Mashiro sitting there and watching this one like a hawk, as Casper, who had a good run in Monza, has he's now got the Haas driver for company for 5th position, and they're dragging Vapor along with them. Dan Hoggard in 8th position has got Jacques J. Carrere behind in 9th with Bowers in P10. Harry's now in P13, but now just outside of DRS of the Alfa Romeo in 12th position.
Yeah, he's been closing back up, hasn't he? He had a 2-second gap at the end of the first lap between rally, and now that's down less than a second, so he's back into DRS range. Starting to see those little gaps, aren't we, from the guys who are potentially looking to stretch those tyres a little bit further. The likes of Dan Hoggard there, as you said, 1.7 seconds the gap. He's a cork in the bottle. And then Brandon Glover as well in P14 is another one, although he's running in a little bit of clean air actually, similar to how Khalifa is at the moment. So potentially it's Speed Newgarden who's the cork for that third group of cars. As we've got a spinner, is that Zander under the bridge after Degner 2?
It is, and it's without a front wing as well, so that is no front wing, and that is very early in the lap to be doing an entire lap. He even locks up going into the hairpin as well. Of course, it's going to have very limited downforce. Now into the box comes Mashiro and Harry, so Harry in off of the mediums very early on as Casper retires from the race. Is that a 130R?
No, it's a turn 1.
No, it's the first corner, so that's a very strange place to have an incident.
We saw him have a dive at Trappy before, didn't we? The lap before, and I wonder if he's done the same again. Maybe caught a rear tyre on a curb or the grass, maybe, and it's pitched him into the barrier. But either way, the result's the same. He's out of the race, and Zander's going to be very, very far down the pack now. So I think Zander's going to be racing for pride now, isn't he, Bless?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, into the box, and lap 5, and he's already making another stop. So he'd come in early, and unfortunately his pit crew are going to meet him for a set of hard tyres, I'd imagine. And then we go on to a set of, I believe that's the hard tyres that are strapping onto him. They are indeed. So he will now run to the end of this 27-lap race here at the Japanese Grand Prix, part of the 24 hours of F1. Those of you in the comments, some people are saying they're having issues with stream quality. Just refresh and check your source to make sure it is running in the right pixel point. So it should be an issue. I'm having a look at the stream right now and it's looking perfect. So make sure you all check your settings. Just give it a refresh if you're having any issues. Lap 6 of 27. Matthew Alder leading now. But look at that gap. It's right down at absolutely nothing. 0.2 of a second behind with Ariel Justus in second position. Khalifa 2 seconds behind with Chappie in fourth. Dan Hoggard has made his way up to fifth. So Duckett in fifth position. Good start there for him.
Had a spate of pit stops, haven't we? 4 drivers in there. That's Vapor, Jack Correa, Saucy and Ivor Bryn Mike, all into the boxes for sets of medium tyres. And Harry there making an excellent jump. He was 3 places behind Saucy before the stops. Very, very good undercut there from the Aston Martin driver.
Yeah, he's gone aggressive, gone softs for the middle stint, and well, a very, very small stint on the mediums to start with. So obviously going aggressive in this one is Harry. He is a good driver on his day, just as he goes a little bit wide there through the kink of Dunlop, but into the Degners. Degner 1 turns into Degner 2 underneath the bridge, of course, F1's only figure of 8 circuit, and well, he's got to get past Jack Correa in front of him, and Jack's brand new set of medium tyres, Harry brand new set of soft tyres, so Harry needs to utilise this advantage of tyre compound early in this stint as Zander picks up 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane and retires from the race. So unfortunately for the VSR driver, just wasn't quite going his way in this one, so he's the first retirement in the pit lane. Casper of course put it in the wall at T1, which I'm sure we'll find out about later on, but here comes Harry, not quite close enough.
See, I mean, I understand why Zander's done that, why he's retired, because he's at the back, he's battling with nobody, and he's going to struggle there, as we see Harry make a move on Jack Correa, 4P14. That's the next set of cars come into the pits. That's Khalifa, Trappy and Vapor from the front of the pack, and it could be a case. As Dan Hoggard's in as well, he's going to be, as we see Harry try and go around the outside of the Haas through turns 1 and 2. He's going to be battling into the S's, and the cold tyres on Dan Hoggard's car preventing him from going wheel to wheel. He's gone for the hard tyre, which I think is an unusual choice.
Brave choice there. Hard tyres aren't particularly great here as Stinson picks up 3 seconds, and a lovely little move there from Mikos Sossi, making up for Harry, just unnerving Dan on the exit of turn 1. He just swept around the outside into turn 2.
Yeah. Making the most of the opportunity presented to him. But, yeah, as I was saying with Zander, I don't know why he's retired in the pits. I mean, I understand why he's done it, but I still don't. I wouldn't necessarily do it myself, because of course all 20 positions that finish, assuming you finish, get points. And this is of course a team event over a full 24 hours, so potentially a little bit of anger there getting the better of him.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same when I saw it come up of him retiring in the pit lane, because I mean, we've seen in real life just what happens when it comes down to 1 or 2 points deciding a championship. So we've got another yellow flag. Is that for Stinson? It looks as though he's gone round at 130. Oh god, that's a good thing ghosting's on, because this car's scattering everywhere as the Mercedes driver. It looks as though he's got his front wing intact, perhaps a little bit of contact into 130R, but the IFR driver down to 16th position and into the box, so he was yet to stop, and so, well,
he's potentially going to get held here because his teammates just come in. No, not quite. It's a good stop from the Mercedes crew, and he's away on a set of softs.
Lap 8 of 27, a long way to go if you're Stinson on a set of stops, so well, plenty of time to go. Only 3 seconds of time penalties handed out so far, and that is to Stinson, and everyone else keeping it relatively clean. Everyone has made 1 stop apart from your top 4, Matthew Alder, Raleigh, Bowers and Brandon Glover. So Justus, Khalifa, Trappy, all without stopping. We've got another yellow flag in sector 1. It looks as though we've got an Alfa Romeo.
Ambalele at the Dunlop. He's gone round. I'd imagine he's run a little bit deep. Caught a rear tyre on the grass. On the AstroTurf, on the exit. He's skating that car round, isn't he?
Yeah, the brilliant thing of having your tyres effectively just become absolute nothing after you have one spin here, and you have to you go drifting around the hairpin, and you have to protect them for what feels like about half a lap or so. As Matthew Alder into the box now, where does Justus cycle in this one? Because he came in a lap early. Does he get the undercut? It looks as though it's going to be mighty close.
We see the Alpine there, Matthew Alder. It's not going to be close enough to go for a move around the outside of T1, but of course, cold tyres on the Alpine. The ones on the McLaren are now nice and toasty. You can see there Matthew Alder having to work them so hard to get the apex of the corner. But he's going to have done enough to be able to keep his lead over Justus.
Justus looking very good in this one.
Yeah, very, very good as well. Whether he'll be able to make a challenge on Matthew Alder, I don't know. He's been supreme so far. I mean, saying that, we're only 9 laps in and after a one-shot qualifying, but he's looking very, very good for the win. Justus as well in second place. Khalifa's dropping back 3.1 seconds now away from this lead pair.
I think if you're the Elite Racing Team manager, I'm sure you'll be pretty happy at the moment with Khalifa sitting there in a net P3, not really under threat. In currently net P4, Mashiro equally dropping back. You can see the gaps now starting to form down to, in fact, it's Ecos Sossi and Harry that are having the battle at the moment on circuit, with Sossi sitting around about half a second behind Harry. And
of course, that's we'll have to be very careful to be neutral commentators with that one, with both our drivers invested. Professionals, that's what we are.
Oh, of course.
As Bowers and Brandon Glover come into the pits for their first stop, leaving Raleigh the only man yet to stop in this race so far. Of course, 2 stops mandatory in this for all drivers as part of the 24 hours of F1. So everybody will be coming in again at least once. Raleigh will be coming in twice. So it's still all to play for. 18 laps to go, including the one we're on.
Been a fantastic race so far. If you're Matthew Alder, holding off a charging McLaren behind the Lithuania of REL, the relentless driver Justus 12, and Khalifa equally just falling off the back now, 4 seconds, however still not under threat from the Ferrari in P5. The only man yet to stop, Stinson now in 18th as the IFR is not really had the race to remember. He's sitting at that 3-second time penalty. He's catching up to Humberley, and Humberley, who's had his own time out here skating his way around the Suzuka circuit. Newgard in P16. The ESW, the Esports Wales team, in P15. They're running their double points as Humberley picks up 3 seconds. So the Red Bull team from Esports, as Casper has a disconnection. However, he retired, of course, earlier on in this one. So no worries for him. But we hope you're all enjoying it, as into the box comes the Alfa Romeo of Rala. He's going to relinquish the lead up to Matthew Alder. Justus in second position. Of course, we're here for one thing, and that is raising money for charity. 2 charities to choose from this year. Of course, you've got Young Minds UK, the mental health charity for young people, and Special Effects, creating fantastic technology for those less fortunate to be able to play video games. You can choose either link over on the Twitter page for the 24 hours of F1 by going to 24 of F1 and selecting the link. Of course, donating any single pound, cent, euro, anything is going to a fantastic cause. We're looking to beat our target, 2,775 last year. Of course, find out more about the charities by going to their pages at Special Effect or at Young Minds UK and their subsequent web pages. But well, we've got plenty more racing left to go. Lap 11 of 27 here, and it's myself, Gareth Hall, and Dan Guy in the box. You can follow me at GT2_driving over on Twitter. You can follow Dan at Dan Guy as well. And well, Brandon Glover picks up 3 seconds, and the gap now, as you see, Dan, just dipping over that 1 second there for Matthew Alder, starting to put the pressure on and just dragging himself away from Justus in second. Yeah,
Justus putting up a brave fight, trying to go for the undercut to try and mount a challenge to the Alpine out in front. That's been superfluous so far. Just looking, as we've got a yellow flag, that's Humberley coming out of the second Degner under the bridge. He's had an incident. I don't know if is there any damage on that Alpha. No, I think it's just a spin, or are we missing? No, we're missing an end plate there on the left-hand side, so he'll be having to come into the pits to get that changed. As I was saying, just looking at the position changes then, as we've had everybody come in for at least one pit stop, so the first round of the 2 mandatory stops is completed. Big winner at the moment is Harry, up 13 places to P7. Saucy as well, up 7 places to 8th. And the losers, of course, apart from Casper and Xander, who have retired, is actually...
saying that, Saucy's just gone round at turn 1. Just went a little bit wide, got on the curb, and unfortunately the back end just stepped away from him, and that's dropped him now down into P11. So unfortunately for Saucy, it was looking very good indeed, but just touched the inside curb, and you know what happens here. Yep. As soon as the balance goes from underneath the car, that's you pointing in the wrong direction. One
mistake and it's game over around this circuit. Still running in P11, and he should have the pace to be able to get past Dan Hoggard on those hard tyres. Rally Fresh Softs will probably be out of reach for this stint, but I'll be interested to see when people decide to stop for their second mandatory pit stop and what tyres they choose to go on to. It's been some interesting choices so far, particularly with the likes of Dan Hoggard even going for the hard tyre, and then the early nature of drivers like Harry coming in on the mediums that he started on. As Saucy, the back end, steps out again through Spoon Curve. Needs to be careful not to push too hard to try and make up the time. Just settle with what you've got.
As the race engineer sits here and just watches over the car, just getting ready to give him some feedback come the end of this one.
No.
As Vapor now closing in on Mashiro. In fact, as Harry into the box as well. So Harry's decided that is a 7-lap stint on a soft stunt. He's going to go to the end on the mediums, as Vapor and Mashiro split by 0.2 of a second as they go into lap 13 of 27 into the first section of corners here, all the way from turn 2 through to the Dunlop corner at turn 7. You scrub off speed. You have to try and keep yourself on the throttle. It's left to right, all the way through. All the lateral G-forces going through the car. You trying to hold on to it. And it's a lot easier on the wheel. I feel for the guys that are doing this on the pad, as Mashiro is trying to hold off Vapor now. So Vapor 5/10, 4/10, almost about 3/10 up as towards turn 11. And the Williams driver not able to close up. Behind them, Jax J. Correa in 7th, Rally, Ecos Saucy and Brandon Glover are the rest of your top 10. And Harry, after that stop, drops down to P14. So this is where he was running in P7 before the stop. What can he do when everyone cycles around for their second? Of course, 2 mandatory stops here, and Harry is the first one to make that second.
Yeah, of course he's going to go for the undercut with that, pitting so early, but he's going to have to do 14 laps on a set of medium tyres, which of course normally is not a problem, but in this 2-stop format, that's a very long way. That's it is roughly half race distance he's going to do on one set of tyres, so come the end of the race he could be in trouble, so he needs to really make up the ground. He's got a nice bit of clear air ahead of him until he gets onto the back of Eva Bryn Mike, so he should be able to make up some nice ground and then be able to hold position and defend, as we see Vapor make a move on Mashiro down the main straight with DRS assistance into turn 1. And who's that who's gone for a spin? Is that Humbalele?
Humbalele's going through another front wing, I think, which I think he's going to have to start sharing them from other teams with red and white front wings. So see, unfortunately he's going to come out right into the middle of Dunlop, and once again Drift King he is, as he makes his way through, and he's going to hopefully ghost, I'd imagine, for the guys that are coming around, so shouldn't get involved in this lead battle. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a race to forget for the FRL driver, down now in 18th position. Lap 14 of 27 here, and it is the 24 hours of F1, and we hope you're enjoying it. Let us know in the comments if you are. It's great to see some of the guys stuck around. Good to see George Morgan in there as well, and afternoon to you, George, or early evening, just about. It's so dark you forget what time of day it is, but well, lap 14 of 27. My name is Gareth Paul, and I've been joined by Dan Guy in the box for this one, and we are bringing you the last of this as Humbalele gets out of the way. I say gets out of the way, he runs a little bit wide with that lack of downforce as he makes his way around this back into the box. Up ahead, we've got Trappy now closing in on Khalifa.
Yeah, just been watching them through that lap as well. We've seen it on stream, and we mentioned earlier that Khalifa was sort of sitting pretty, really, in a nice bit of clear air, and his pace has dropped away. Either that or Trappy started to put the hammer down, And I just wonder whether that's maybe Khalifa's setup causing him to overheat those medium tyres, particularly through this first sector. That's where we'll see if Trappy can hold ground with dirty air as well. That looks like it could be the case. You see the back end of the Red Bull stepping out a little bit, having to be controlled. I think it is. I think maybe the front tyres on that Red Bull are overheating slightly for Khalifa, and that's going to cause him a whole world of pain towards the end of the race, because 13 laps to go, including the one we're on. 12 once our race leaders cross the line. And everybody's still to make a stop, with the exception of Dan Hoggard, Harry, and Hombalele, who's made 3 stops now.
We've got Mercedes around. Is that, I believe that is for Speed Newgarden. So unfortunately, the Speed Esport team, Newgarden goes around to turn 1. So shame there from Newgarden. He was running quite nicely, picking up some decent top points for Speed. I'm sure his guys in the likes of Quinn and Yuri will be watching this over, and will be giving him some positive reformation, knowing that he can still push, keep going, as you say. Points for all positions as he goes underneath the bridge in towards the hairpin at turn 11. But, well, battle's still going on. We've still got the likes of Chappie catching up to Khalifa. We have still got Brandon now closing in on Ecos Sossi. Brandon on fresher tyres, however, sitting on that penalty. And he's going to be within DRS. However, he's not going to need it, because into the box comes the Ecos man.
Yeah, and I'm just watching Dan Hoggard down in P16 chasing down Stinson. Well, Stinson on an older set of soft tyres compared to Dan Hoggard's brand new set of mediums. So we could see a move potentially into turn 1 unless we get a similar boss kill, but we don't. Stinson stays out. A little bit of oversteer on the exit. They're both going to clear Sossi as Eva Bryn Mike retires. Stinson tries to go through Sossi there. There's a little bit of ghosting involved, thankfully, otherwise that would have been...
That's lucky.
As we drive past the stricken Red Bull of Eva Bryn Mike, who's lost it on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, and that's a disaster for the Esports Wales team, who are running their double points race in this one. So no, not even one singular point going to them for this one. And unfortunately, either in... well, he was running in midfield, picking up some solid points. However, that is now turned to 0 very, very quickly. Easy to get it wrong, as we've got another yellow in sector 1. Looks as though we've got an Alpha round again. I'd imagine that's Humbalele, because Val is still running nicely in P8. As here we go, Sossi looking down to the inside of Stinson. I'm not quite sure why they ghosted at that point. I'm sure that Sossi won't be particularly happy about it, because he's got fresher tyres than Stinson. In fact, he gets off the throttle, not wanting to push too hard into Spoon, but Stinson looking as though he's struggling on those tyres. 7-lap-old softs, of course. Sossi, brand new softs. He should, in theory, breeze past him. Will he do it at 130R? I think he'll probably get off the throttle. Is he going to go for it? He is. Here we go, side by side. 130R. Is it going to work? Well, Stinson gives him the space and pulls in behind him, so move done.
I'll be interested to see whether he can hold it, though, because DRS for Stinson now to try and attack him again with, although the gap there seems to be pretty substantial there for Sossi as he gets clear of Brandon Glover, who's on his way out of the pit lane. He has to settle for P14 behind Dan Hoggard. Back up at the front then, Trappy so far unable to mount an attack on Khalifa, although he's sitting within DRS range. Might be waiting for that second stop to either go for an undercut, potentially even an overcut, if he thinks he's got the ability to put the hammer down that much. Vapor then closing in on Mashiro again. We've seen those two battling so far in this race, and the only other battle at the moment is the one we're currently watching, which is for, in essence, P11, although I think before too long it's going to end up being for P12 as Sossi pulls clear of Stinson, Dan Hoggard and Brandon Glover.
Into the box comes Khalifa. So Khalifa deciding to come in and make his second stop, so the first of the top 5 to go on to a set of softs to the end. Yellow in sector 2, that's at Spoon for a Mercedes. Is that Stinson? I believe it is Stinson that's gone around to the IFR driver. Not really enjoying here at Suzuka, but well, it's he's going to go down the order just in front of Newgarden. So Newgarden, who's fighting with Humbalele now for 16th and 17th position. Out of the box comes Khalifa, and round the outside of him goes Bowers, the Aston Martin driver.
Yeah,
so Khalifa getting caught.
Yeah, he'll have wanted to come out ahead of that Aston, really, so that he's got some clean air to push into, but now he's going to have to try and make his way past that Aston, as we said. Trappy now could make use of it to potentially get the overcut on him, depending on how much time Khalifa's going to lose in this traffic.
Harry running in a solid 8th position. I'm being caught, however, by Vapor as TDB sits there in 9th position. Sitting on a penalty, though.
Khalifa
so
going for it down the inside at the hairpin. Sorry, Gareth.
No, that's fine. Jump
saw
in,
the door open, dived down the inside. And now up to P6, so what small advantage Trappy might have had to be able to overcut the Red Bull is now gone. If he's going to do it, he needs to do it now and hope that Khalifa has a poor final sector.
There's a yellow flag in sector 1. That's Spinner Lely that's gone around again, and it looks as though we've got an Alpha Tauri. That's Jay Correa that's gone round at Spoon. So unfortunately for him, he's now dropped out of the top 10. Is that an end plate that's missing as well? I'll have to try and see an off-board shot. It looks as though he may have had something missing.
No, I think he's clear. Yeah, he's all clear. I think it's just because it's a dark colour, sort of blends in with the tyre a little bit if you get the wrong angle for it. But he looks as though he's all clear. There's no visible damage as Mashiro and Rally come into the pits. Rally is going to get the jump on Saucy, of course. Saucy with that spin early on, which dropped him out. He was originally running with Harry, who's currently in P6, so it would have been a very, very good result for the Ecos man. Currently in P10, which is still a good result, considering he started down in 17th place.
Yeah, that spin at turn 1 as Vapor hits the inside of the Degner 1 very hard indeed. He'd be lucky to have got away without spinning on that one, as we've got a yellow flag for, I believe that's Humbalele letting him pass. Down the inside, does Vapor go? He doesn't quite get the move done on Harry. Of course, he's got much fresher tyres, much nicer tyres on the softs compared to Harry's mediums. And surely it's just a matter of time before Vapor goes down the inside. Harry probably doesn't want to fight this too hard. Vapor's got a 3-second time penalty. I'm sure Harry wants to keep him behind as much as possible to negate that 3 seconds that Vapor may break as soon as he gets ahead of him. But of course, Harry in a decent position. He's got himself up to P6 after starting P20. Of course, everyone having their allotted race having to start at the back of the grid. This is Team Has-Beens, and Harry is the one doing it as Khalifa sets the fastest lap of the race at 30.101, and he's currently in P4. Bowers into the box. That's going to promote Harry and Vapor now up into P5 and P6. So it's been a solid run for Harry, but he's going to get passed by Vapor. Vapor now down the inside and makes it back up into a 5th position. And up at the front of this one, Matthew Alder, he's put the afterburners on now, hasn't he? 3.9 seconds ahead of Eustace.
Yeah, and it's been a quiet race for him, really, hasn't it? He's just got on with it and pulled himself clear. You can always tell when a leader's having a dominant performance, because we don't talk about them that much. Vapor running very wide through the Dunlop there, manages to keep it on the island, but he's now dragged Harry back into range and Mashiro with him as well.
Mashiro starting to close in, doesn't quite get the move, but he's going to get a launch on exit. Of course, much nicer tyres compared to Harry. And TTG Mashiro, these two I believe have raced against each other in Victor's Racing League, so they are aware of each other, and Harry's going to try and block him. Is there a move into Spoon? No. Mashiro thinking better of it. You have to be very much alongside to even think about a move into Spoon, but he will set him up down towards 130R, and the Haas is going to be sitting in the slipstream, but Harry benefiting from the slipstream of Vapor. Vapor's not been able to break away like we thought he might do, and Harry's sitting in a nice position here, just being able to defend, but Mashiro's round goes Excel RJ, 3-second time penalty, but down the inside goes Mashiro. Is there contact between the pair of them? There is a little bit of wheel banging, but Harry gets away unscathed. Mashiro is, however, very much on the warpath. He knows that he needs to get past Harry to chase down Vapor.
Yeah, and just looking at the pit stops then, everybody has made their 2 mandatory pit stops minimum, as we see the Haas having a look down the inside, back and steps out there. Well caught, sir. Very well caught. Matthew Alder and Eustace out front still to make their stops, but they are 26 and 29, maybe even 30 seconds clear of Khalifa in 3rd place, so they shouldn't have any issues with making those and staying in their current positions. Trappy then 2-lap pressure tyres compared to Khalifa. Of course, they were battling for third place on track earlier on. Chaffee deciding to go up longer in his middle stint. We'll see if he can close up the 2.3 seconds he's lost and potentially make that overtake. But I've got the nice battles developing actually, don't we, down the order. We've got a battle for P8, P10, P5 and then P3 as well, hopefully towards the end.
Yeah, that 22 of 27 here. The Japanese Grand Prix, race 4 of 20 hours of F1. You're joining myself, Gareth Hall and Dan Guy in the commentary box for this one. Of course, raising money for charity and just having a quick look at the stream totals. Almost £650 raised for charity so far, and we're only 4 hours in, which is absolutely awesome. So keep it coming in to amazing charities, Special Effects and Young Minds that are hoping to benefit from this one. And I'm sure these guys will all be enjoying themselves as part of this fantastic event put on every year by J. Cole and the team behind the 24 hours of F1. We've got a yellow in sector 3. Is that 4? One of the Alphas, it looks as though going a little bit slow, letting us through some lap traffic. Jay Correa is closing on Brandon Glover. Brandon blocks the inside and then moves in the braking zone. I'm sure that Jay Correa maybe not too impressed with that one, but Brandon keeps 10th position. Up ahead, Mashiro still yet to find a way past Harry.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be... Oh, as we see, Jax J. Correa off through the S's, got a tank slapper. Clips the barrier. I'm not sure if there's any damage on the AlphaTauri, but he's lost a lot of ground there. Currently down in 13th place, drops back behind Bowers. I think the front wing is safe at the moment. There's no visual damage. Just called it on stream now. The back end just stepped out on him through the third S there, and as we said, any mistake and it's game over. If we weren't running reduced damage, I think that would be race over for Jax J. Correa. So can thank his lucky stars that J. Cole decided reduced damage this year.
Yeah,
as Eustace comes in for his second stop, potentially trying an undercut on Matthew Alder.
Yeah, it's going to have to be some absolute blitz of an outlap if he is, because I'm sure Matthew Alder will be thinking, I'll just come in next lap and do what you didn't do. And well, 25 seconds, if he can get down to 23, he'll be within 1 second. Here comes Mashiro and Harry. Can he get past? They're side by side. Mashiro thought about the outside. He's tried to go for the inside each time and Harry's covered him off. This time went to the outside and Harry wasn't having any of it whatsoever. I'm sure Harry's engineers at the moment, Scott and Charlie, will be sitting there and telling him, do not let anyone go around the outside of you, show him the door, and that's exactly what he did. But yeah, Matthew Alder, if he can keep this gap at around about 25 seconds, should have a clear run out of the box. Eustace has got to be putting in some serious sectors if he is to close into that what was around about 4-second advantage, as Humbaleli picks up 3 seconds. He's down in 17th position with 4 stops and unfortunately not had a race to remember for the Alfa Romeo. Into the box, here we go, comes Matthew Alder to cover off the undercut that Eustace was going for. He's managed to take around about half a second off him, but I don't believe it's going to be enough, and he should come out comfortably ahead of the McLaren.
Yep, should do, like you say, around half a second. Positive for Eustace, but it's a good start for Matthew Alder, and it should be fairly comfortable. See, we see there Eustace just to the right of the screen, coming through the final turn onto the straight. The gap was around 4 seconds before the stop, and like we say, half a second, 3.4 now. Potentially, he could close up a little bit with the difference in tyre temperature, but I think that's barring some catastrophe, that's game, set and match, I think, to Matthew Alder.
Oh, Harry goes around, spinning on contact with himself and Vapor. He looked to the inside of Vapor. Vapor wasn't having any of it whatsoever. Closed the door. Harry got put on the curb, and unfortunately for Harry, he's now down to 7th position, so he's not lost too much. However, he won't be happy at all with the Williams driver there, and the Williams, he just needs to keep it on track. Harry. Yellow in sector 1 as Brandon Glover goes off the road. Unfortunately for Brandon, he's down now and out of this one, so close to the end. A real shame there for Brandon, who was having a solid mid-pack race. But well, yeah, if you're Harry, I'm sure that might go into the stewards. He had a look down the inside, and I think he'll feel he was squeezed off onto the curb. But yeah, shame there for him. But that does promote Mashiro now into striking distance over him and Vapor.
Yeah, and was it was turn 1 for Harry and his incident there. Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at a couple of the guys, and I know that we're in a, as we see, Vapor weaving significantly there. Same with Mashiro. I don't know if there's a message being sent between the two there. But with moves at turn 1 round Suzuka, I don't know about you, Gareth. I would never go for one up the inside of someone else.
No, I'm not a fan of turn 1 here. It's off camber. The curbs aren't friendly at all. It is.
No.
I mean, you have to be fully committed to make an overtake, and here comes Mashiro, and he is fully committed. In fact, that was perhaps a little bit easier. So was that a little bit of a contact or maybe communication between the pair of them of just let me go and I'll drag you? Than it was before, because you saw them weaving down the back straight in towards 130R, and Vapor didn't defend at all into turn 1.
No, and of course he's got that time penalty as well, Vapor, so maybe thinking that he'd be better served letting Mashiro go, because the gap ahead is 9 seconds, so maybe feels he's better served letting Mashiro go, using the toe and the speed of the Haas to keep himself clear of Harry to hold on to P6. So we've got 2 laps to go once Matthew Alder crosses the line for the final, for the next time around, I should say. Everybody has made their 2 mandatory pit stops. And as you say, Harry doing the P20 start, and the team running their double points for this event. That's the Esports Wales team, I think, isn't it?
It was indeed, and their race ended. Yeah,
P18, but unfortunately ended with a DNF, so 0 points scored and a double points opportunity lost to them. There's Mashiro and Vapor then. So very close together again. Are they going to be working together potentially? Vapor thought about it. Not quite close enough though to make a move. As we see, Sossi's managed to get himself past Rally before the main straight, and the Alfa Romeo unable to take that position back. Sossi on older tyres as well, so I wonder if there was a mistake in there from Rally.
Yeah, just looking at the positions, we've got Trappy that's caught up Khalifa, and Khalifa now in real danger of losing a podium here. We've got a yellow in sector 1. Not quite sure who that's for. There we go. Back to green. So, yeah, Trappy now well within striking range of Khalifa. We're about to come on to the final lap. Matthew Alder will be coming around 130R very shortly. In fact, he's catching the 2 Mercedes of Newgarden and Stinson to lap them. I believe he's already lapped Humberlele. But, the battle now on for P3. Trappy Formula catching Khalifa.
Yeah, and of course, what better time to make that move than into turn 1 on the final lap. So we'll ride on board with the Ferrari as we head into the Calcio Triangle. Just shy of 4/10 the gap as they enter. 3.5 tenths the gap. Khalifa's going to weave to try and hold position. She don't want to weave too much. Defends the inside, which I think personally is a fatal flaw. As we see Trappy going around the outside and securing 3rd place. Khalifa will try and fight back, but nothing he can do about it. As we were just saying, if you defend the inside, then I think it's a foregone conclusion. If you defend the inside of turn 1 here, you want to stay around the outside where you can hold your pace and scrub off as little speed as possible to try and sling through T2.
Yeah, and that, I mean, Khalifa with 3 laps extra on his tyres, it looks as though that is game over for him, and a real shame for the Elite Racing Team driver who's had a solid race as Rally gets past Sossi. Sossi's around, so he's on the gravel in the middle of the S as he comes up towards Dunlop, so perhaps contact between himself and the Alfa Romeo there, because they were side by side going through sector 1. In fact, he's now under attack from Bowers, but up at the lead of this one we've still got Matthew Alder, who's coming around 130R for the final time, and well, it has been pretty comfortable. We had a little bit of pressure from the McLaren to start the race, but after the first stint, well, he's absolutely deserved this one. Checkered flag is out for Matthew Alder. He is your race winner here. Race 4 of the 24 hours of F1. Justus for the Relentless team will be pretty happy, P2. And Chappie Formula is going to be the man that comes home in third position. Fantastic result there for Chappie. He beats ERT Khalifa into a podium position. Mashiro has looked as though he's overtaken Vapor and held on to that position. Vapor didn't come back at him, and he knows that he's got that 3-second time penalty. So there you go. Mashiro is top 5. Vapor P6. Harry will not be happy at all. P7, however, from P20 is pretty handy. Rally in 8th position. Ikos Sossi, after spending a lot of the race pointing in the wrong direction and tasting and cutting the grass here at Suzuka, has managed to hold on to 9th. Bowers in 10th, with Dan Holgord in 11th.
Yeah, just watching the final couple of corners from Sossi there. Bowers had a little look into the triangle, but thought better of it. Held on to P10 there. XLRJ will finish 12th, then Jax J. Correa 13th. Stinson will be the last man to cross the line, with Newgarden having been lapped again by Matthew Walder, and Hombalele as well, I think, is just ahead of us on track. So Stinson through 130R into the Casio Triangle, who will finish 14th. Hombalele will finish 16th. And just like that, Gareth, our races are over.
I know. What it's flown by. I've enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was great to share a box with you, and hopefully you guys have all enjoyed it. Of course, you can find us over on Twitter, over at Dan Gate for Dan, and of course at GT2_driving for myself. And hopefully I'll be back in the commentary box in 2022. I took a bit of a year off this year as I was focusing on my real life stuff, doing the feeder series, the British Superbikes. But be hoping to get back into sim work next year. But yeah, what a result there. We've had a brilliant win for Sam Corby from P20, and Matt Alder deciding to go flag to flag, P1 to the win. And Justus, the Lithuanian, I'm sure will be very happy indeed with that performance. P2 and Chappie, well, if you're going to make a move for the podium, do it on the final lap. And what a result he has done there, picking up that third place. And there we go, final results for the Japanese Grand Prix. Race 4 of the 24, as we've just ticked over 4 hours of this one, so just under 20 left to go. And it is Matthew Alder taking the win, fastest lap of the race as well, in 41 minutes and 35, with Justus in second position, Chappie Formula in third, with Khalifa 4th, Mashiro 5th, Vapor 6th, Harry 7th, Rallet in 8th, with Sossi in 9th, Bowers 10th, Dan Holgard at Dakar H 230 in 11th, with XLRJ in 12th, Jax Correa, IFR Stinson. Then we've got Newgarden, Humbalele, and then unfortunately we lost Brandon Glover, Eva Brim, Mike, Xander and Casper from this one. So 16 finishers picking up points for the 24 and their team total.
Yep. So next up, I believe, what race have we got next? And who are we handing over to?
Down under.
Down under.
We're going down under. So we go to Australia, and we're handing over to the very capable and fantastic Aidan Carter, and Jess Ball. Oh. Fantastic team. I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Yes, if you could pick someone to follow us, that'd definitely they'd be up there, wouldn't they, as a pairing? We hope you have all enjoyed our 2 races. Gareth, I hope one day we can share a commentary box again. That was
very much so.
That was fantastic. But, I'll see you, everybody who's watching, I should say, around again for China tomorrow morning around 20 to 11 in the UK. Is this you finished now, Gareth, for commentary?
It's me finished for now, because I will be in the car in around about 3 hours. I think I'm racing Spain, and then I'll be back tomorrow morning for Brazil and Bahrain. So perhaps maybe some comms if I've got some time needed tomorrow morning. But looking forward to driving this one.
Excellent. So as I say, I'll see everybody again for China, where I'll be with the hero that is J. Cole, who's not doing the full 24 this year. Just, backing out of it, isn't he?
Lazy.
Yeah, I know. Shocking. And we hope you all enjoy it. Make sure you donate as much as you feel you're able to and support 2 fantastic charities. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Round 5 coming up next in Australia.
Right, I think we're off.
We are.